Is this heaven? It's Iowa. Yes, Iowa is home to the Field of Dreams, where that famous quote came from. In fact, they now play MLB games at this location of the Field of Dreams, which is in Dyersville, Iowa. It is a pretty incredible event they started that is amazing to witness. Anyways, at this point, I am sure if you are watching this, you either decided Iowa is your next destination, or you are strongly considering Iowa. Shoot us a text, give us a call, or send us an email if you want help moving to the great state of Iowa or selling. We're going to cover choosing a city or town, cost of living, housing, employment opportunities, education system, weather, seasons, transportation, healthcare, food, and tips for adjusting to moving to Iowa. Let's get straight to it because we got a lot to cover. Choosing a city or town is a hard decision. It is going to come down to your goals and comfort level. If you are someone that wants all the conveniences that a city has for shopping, parks, bigger schools, recreation, and more, then some good options to consider are Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, Davenport, Council Bluffs, Waterloo, and Cedar Falls area. If you are someone that doesn't care about having shopping close and want to be in rural Iowa, then you have many options throughout the state. Small town Iowa is plentiful and typically is more affordable when finding a home to live in. Cost of living. Iowa is a popular state that many are considering in 2024, and cost of living is a huge reason why. With new tax laws starting this year, Iowa now has a flat income tax that comes in at 3.65% in 2024. This is much better than it was and really improves an already great state for affordability. Iowa does have a sales tax and it is 6%. The least affordable part of Iowa are the property taxes, which a little birdie tells me that this could change and is being worked on currently by Iowa legislation. Currently, Iowa is around 1.5% of the assessed value of a home for property taxes. This is much higher than most states in the nation. Now, I've done a video on this topic as well on cost of living, and I suggest watching that for a more detailed explanation of Iowa cost of living. But the most affordable part of Iowa is its real estate. Homes in Iowa are much more affordable, with the median home price around $195,000. And you see that in sites like bestplaces.net, where Iowa scores a 55.4, which is way below the national average because the average score is 100 on this scale. Iowa is affordable in most all categories on bestplaces.net. If you want a nice, cleaner state with affordability, I don't know if you'll find a better state in the United States. Housing. I know we've covered a ton already with choosing a city or town and the affordability of housing in Iowa, but I want to go over a few other important housing topics. Now, this is my expertise, so if you're looking to move to Iowa, give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email. I love helping people make a smooth transition to Iowa. Many ask me if they should buy or rent starting out. I will again tell you that it depends on your wants and needs. If you're getting relocated by your job or aren't 100% sure Iowa is your forever state, then I would definitely recommend renting starting out. I did have a client move here and is renting currently, but once he got in the rental, he noticed that it was not nearly as nice as he thought it was going to be. He is now getting everything in order to buy a home as he wants out of that rental ASAP. Now, on the flip side, if you are in love with the area of Iowa, you are moving to Iowa, or you never really see yourself leaving, then buying is the way to go for you. It really comes down to certainty. If you are certain Iowa is for you, then buying is more than likely your best decision. You may also be wondering, what are some areas that are more popular than others? I would say that Des Moines and Cedar Rapids are the most popular areas that people reach out to us about. I think a lot of it has to do with the jobs that both cities provide. I do have to mention this though, there are also a great deal of people reaching out that want rural Iowa. Now, I want to talk briefly about the current Iowa housing market. Currently, inventory is incredibly low and interest rates are around 6.5%. If a home that is desirable and is in an affordable range, then it can go really quick still, with multiple offers even. But it isn't nearly as competitive as it was back right after COVID and interest rates were 3% or even lower. Overall, with such a shortage of inventory, it still is a seller's market, and that is why prices are not falling. Employment opportunities. Iowa is a huge agricultural state and is a top producer consisting of GMO corn and GMO soybeans. With that being said, those crops need to be planted, sprayed, harvested, and shipped. This brings a huge industry of everything you can think of around the process of farming in Iowa. This is why there are many farm equipment companies like John Deere and International Harvester, spraying companies, trucking jobs, and so much more just from farming in Iowa. Then you have a growing tech industry that is really growing rapidly in Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, and Davenport that I know of. Now I want to rewind and go back to trucking as Interstates 80 and 35 cross in Des Moines, Iowa, making Des Moines a huge trucking intersection. This makes Iowa a huge trucking state. Iowa also is close to the center of the United States, again making it ideal for trucking. You add in the hardworking nature of Iowans, which makes industrial jobs plentiful like Amazon, Quaker Oats, Cargill, Pepsi, beer companies, and so much more. I really can't get to them all throughout the state. Iowa has a great job market and pairs with great affordability. In fact, a client moved to Cedar Rapids recently and lived in Buffalo, New York before moving to Iowa. He said he gets paid the same in his field as in New York, and the cost of living is so much less than New York. Education system. I grew up in small town Iowa of Anamosa, Iowa. This may not be true now, but when I was growing up, my friends and I went to college. We were not compared to what we called Cedar Rapids kids back then. I can only speak by my experiences in growing up here that seemed to be a common theme, as my wife said the same thing about her hometown of New Hampton, Iowa. If you want your children to have the best schools and resources in a public school setting, then I believe a larger city offers a better education. This is my opinion though, and there are always exceptions to the rule. Now, if you are into possibly homeschooling or incorporating some sort of homeschooling method into your family's education, Iowa is a top location for homeschooling families. We have charter schools and so many activities for homeschoolers. Homeschooling is a popular choice here in Iowa. Many schools, especially in Cedar Rapids, are happy to help and meet you where you are and want to go. They're not against you educating your children how you want to. Another great thing about Iowa is its universities if your children choose to go to college. We have small and large universities like Iowa State University, University of Iowa, Drake University, University of Northern Iowa, Kirkwood Community College, and many more. Weather seasons. Iowa is a diverse state when it comes to weather. Iowa has cold winters where it can get below zero even during the daytime. Winter also can bring in snowstorms where you can get over a foot of snow, but typically we get 2 to 6 inches in a typical winter storm. Spring and fall are a lot alike in many ways. They have great mild temperatures that not many people complain about. It is warm enough to enjoy the sun, but at night it gets cool and has that amazing sweatshirt and sweatpants weather. Then you got summer that can get hot and humid. This is why Iowa is such an amazing agricultural state, as the humidity with fertile soil makes it an ideal place to grow anything. Now, if you are getting value from this video, make sure to hit that like button at least, but also subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified each and every time we come out with a new video. Transportation. This is going to be brief as our public transportation is not the main source for most people in the state. In the cities, we do have public transportation and it definitely provides a great service for many, but with not as much traffic as the more populated areas of the country means less public transportation is needed. You may be wondering, how do people get around here in Iowa? And the answer is that most people have their own vehicles to get around. Healthcare. Iowa, surprisingly, is not the most affordable state when it comes to healthcare. According to bestplaces.net, Iowa scores at 108.2, which is over the average score of the US. That is a score of 100. The good thing about Iowa healthcare is it ranks high in healthcare rankings. According to moneygeek.com, Iowa's third best state when it comes to healthcare. The largest hospital in Iowa is the University of Iowa Hospital and Clinic, which has the highest level of care in Iowa. The larger the city, the more healthcare options you will have typically. If you need the highest level of care, likely you will be taken to the University of Iowa Hospital. We do have urgent cares throughout the state and many times in even rural Iowa. Food. I'm not going to recommend any restaurants as this list would be way too long, but one thing I can tell you from stories of our clients is that they approve of the food here. In fact, they say it is better or comparable to where they were from. One client in particular said overall he believes Cedar Rapids is on par with Los Angeles area that he came from. In short, the food in Iowa is amazing. Last, I want to talk about tips on adjusting to living in Iowa. The people in Iowa are labeled Iowa Nice, and that is amazing for you as it makes moving day much easier. Now, a big deal for moving from another state to any state, but particularly Iowa, is moving moving costs. We had a client move from Boise, Idaho, and they got quoted around $8,000 to move to Iowa. The company raised that cost all the way up to $14,000 that they weren't expecting, and they felt bamboozled by the moving company. Make sure to account for that huge cost of moving here, along with your down payment and all that comes with moving across the country. Lastly, if you are moving, make sure you come see the area and narrow down where exactly you want to live. Many get overwhelmed when they are considering all over Iowa, as it gets to be too much. I would visit the area and narrow down a location you want to be at.